The story begins at a bustling airport on a busy Monday morning. The terminal is filled with travelers rushing to catch their flights, dragging suitcases, and juggling coffee cups. Among the crowd is a young woman in her late 20s, dressed in a sharp business suit, clearly in a hurry. She's a corporate professional, confident and focused, with her phone glued to her hand as she checks her emails. She's heading to an important meeting in another city and has booked herself a first-class seat. To her, this is a well-deserved luxury after weeks of hard work. Nearby, a soldier in his early 30s stands quietly in line at the check-in counter. He's dressed in casual clothes but carries himself with the discipline and calm of someone who's served in the military. His backpack is worn, and his boots are scuffed, hinting at years of use. He's returning home after a long deployment overseas, eager to see his family. He's booked an economy seat, as his budget doesn't allow for anything more extravagant. Despite the long journey ahead, he's grateful to be heading home. The woman notices the soldier as she walks past him. She doesn't think much of him at first, just another traveler in the crowded airport. She's more concerned about getting to her gate on time and ensuring her first-class experience is perfect. She's worked hard for this moment, and she's not about to let anything ruin it. As she approaches the boarding gate, she's greeted by the airline staff with a smile. She hands over her boarding pass and is about to step onto the plane when she hears a commotion behind her. Turning around, she sees the soldier speaking to the gate agent. His flight has been overbooked, and he's being told there are no seats left in economy. The only available seat is in first class, but it's reserved for someone else. The woman overhears the conversation and feels a pang of sympathy for the soldier. But when the gate agent approaches her and asks if she would be willing to switch seats with him, her initial reaction is one of resistance. She's paid a lot of money for her first-class seat, and she's not about to give it up for a stranger, no matter who he is. She politely declines, citing her need for comfort and space to prepare for her meeting. The soldier doesn't argue or make a scene. He simply nods, thanks the gate agent, and steps aside, accepting the situation with quiet dignity. The woman feels a twinge of guilt but quickly pushes it aside, telling herself she's done nothing wrong. She boards the plane, settles into her spacious seat, and tries to focus on her upcoming presentation. As the plane takes off, she notices the soldier sitting a few rows behind her in economy. He's crammed into a middle seat, his broad shoulders squeezed between two other passengers. Despite the discomfort, he doesn't complain. He closes his eyes, takes a deep breath, and seems to relax, as if he's used to far worse conditions. The woman tries to ignore him, but something about his calm demeanor bothers her. She can't quite put her finger on it, but there's a nagging feeling in the back of her mind that she's made a mistake. She tells herself she's being silly, after all, she's entitled to the seat she paid for. But as the flight progresses, her unease grows. About halfway through the flight, the plane hits a patch of turbulence. The seatbelt sign lights up, and the passengers are instructed to remain in their seats. The woman, who's never been a fan of flying, feels her anxiety spike. She grips the armrests tightly, her knuckles turning white. Across the aisle, a child starts crying, adding to the tension in the cabin. Suddenly, the turbulence worsens. The plane shakes violently, and overhead bins rattle. The woman's heart races as she struggles to stay calm. She glances around the cabin, looking for reassurance, but the other passengers seem just as frightened as she is. Then, her eyes land on the soldier. He's sitting perfectly still, his eyes closed, his breathing steady. He looks completely at ease, as if the chaos around him doesn't faze him at all. The woman feels a surge of admiration mixed with shame. Here she is, sitting in first class, surrounded by luxury, yet she's the one falling apart. Meanwhile, the soldier, who's been through who knows what in his line of work, remains calm and composed. She realizes how small her problems are compared to what he must have faced. When the turbulence finally subsides, the woman feels a wave of relief. But her thoughts keep returning to the soldier. She wonders what his story is, where he's been, and what he's seen. She wishes she had been kinder, more generous. But it's too late now, or is it? As the plane begins its descent, the woman makes a decision. She unbuckles her seatbelt, stands up, and walks over to the soldier's row. The passengers around him look up in surprise as she approaches. The soldier opens his eyes and meets her gaze, his expression calm but curious. "I'm sorry," she says, her voice trembling slightly. "I should have given you my seat. It was selfish of me to refuse. I hope you can forgive me." The soldier smiles gently and shakes his head. "There's nothing to forgive," he says. "You paid for your seat, and you have every right to it. But I appreciate the gesture." The woman feels a lump in her throat. She wants to say more, to explain herself, but the words won't come. Instead, she simply nods and returns to her seat, her mind racing with thoughts of what she's learned about herself during the flight. When the plane lands, the woman gathers her belongings and steps off the plane, her heart heavy with regret. She knows she can't undo her actions, but she's determined to make things right. Little does she know, her encounter with the soldier is far from over, and the truth about who he is and what he's done is about to change her life forever. As the woman steps off the plane, she feels a mix of emotions, relief that the flight is over, but also a lingering sense of guilt. She walks briskly through the terminal, her heels clicking against the polished floor, trying to shake off the uneasy feeling. Her mind keeps replaying the moment she apologized to the soldier. His calm response had been kind, but it only made her feel worse. She couldn't help but wonder what kind of person he was, and why he had been so understanding. She heads straight to the baggage claim, where she waits impatiently for her suitcase. As she stands there, she notices the soldier again. He's a few feet away, leaning casually against a pillar, his backpack slung over one shoulder. He's not in a hurry like the other passengers. Instead, he seems to be taking his time, observing the people around him with a quiet intensity. The woman hesitates, unsure whether to approach him again. Before she can make up her mind, her suitcase appears on the carousel, and she's forced to turn her attention to retrieving it. As she grabs her bag and wheels it away, she glances back at the soldier. He's still standing there, seemingly waiting for someone. She wonders if he's being picked up by family or friends. The thought makes her feel even more guilty. Here she is, rushing off to a fancy hotel for her meeting, while he's probably heading home to loved ones after months or even years of service. She shakes her head, trying to push the thoughts away, and heads for the taxi stand. The ride to her hotel is quiet, giving her too much time to think. She checks her phone, scrolling through emails and messages, but her mind keeps drifting back to the soldier. She tells herself she's being ridiculous, she doesn't even know the man, and yet she can't stop thinking about him. By the time she reaches the hotel, she's resolved to put the incident behind her and focus on her work. The next morning, she wakes up early to prepare for her meeting. She dresses carefully, choosing a sharp outfit that exudes confidence, and heads downstairs to the hotel restaurant for breakfast. As she sips her coffee and reviews her notes, she overhears a conversation at the next table. Two men in suits are talking loudly, their voices carrying across the room. "Did you hear about that soldier who saved an entire village overseas?" one of them says. "Apparently, he risked his life to evacuate civilians during a bombing. The guy's a real hero." The woman's ears perk up. She tries to focus on her notes, but the conversation is too intriguing to ignore. "Yeah, I read about that," the other man replies. "He was injured in the process, too. Took a bullet to the leg but kept going until everyone was safe. They're calling him a legend." The woman's heart skips a beat. Could they be talking about the soldier from the plane? She tries to brush it off as a coincidence, but something about the way they describe him, calm, selfless, brave, matches the man she met. Her curiosity gets the better of her, and she decides to do a quick search on her phone. She types in a few keywords: soldier, hero, village evacuation. Within seconds, an article pops up. Her eyes widen as she reads the headline: Local soldier saves dozens in daring rescue mission. She clicks on the link and begins reading. The article describes how a soldier, whose name is withheld for security reasons, led a dangerous mission to evacuate a village under attack. Despite being injured, he managed to get every civilian to safety, earning him the admiration of his comrades and the gratitude of the people he saved. The article includes a photo of the soldier receiving a medal, his face partially obscured but unmistakably familiar. The woman's hands tremble as she holds her phone. It's him. The man she denied a first-class seat is a decorated hero. She feels a wave of shame wash over her. How could she have been so selfish? She had no idea who he was or what he had been through. And yet, he had been nothing but kind and understanding, even when she refused to give up her seat. She closes the article and sits back in her chair, her mind racing. She knows she can't undo what happened, but she feels compelled to do something, anything, to make it right. She finishes her breakfast quickly and heads to her meeting, but her thoughts keep returning to the soldier. The meeting goes well, but the woman can't fully focus. She's distracted, her mind preoccupied with the revelation about the soldier. As soon as the meeting ends, she excuses herself and heads back to her hotel room. She needs to figure out how to make amends. She spends the next few hours researching, trying to find more information about the soldier. She learns that he's from a small town not far from the city she's in. He's been in the military for over a decade and has served multiple tours overseas. His actions have saved countless lives, but he's remained humble and out of the spotlight. The more she reads, the more she realizes how wrong she was to judge him based on appearances. She had assumed he was just another traveler, someone who didn't deserve the same luxuries as her. But now she sees him for who he truly is, a selfless hero who puts others before himself. Determined to make things right, the woman decides to reach out to him. She doesn't know how, but she's determined to find a way. She spends the rest of the day making calls and sending emails, trying to track down his contact information. It's not easy, the military keeps such details private, but she's persistent. Finally, late in the evening, she gets a response. A representative from a veterans organization agrees to pass along a message to the soldier on her behalf. The woman writes a heartfelt note, apologizing for her actions and expressing her admiration for his service. She includes her contact information, hoping he'll reach out. As she hits send, she feels a sense of relief. She knows it's not much, but it's a start. She can only hope the soldier will accept her apology and give her a chance to make amends. The next morning, she wakes up to a notification on her phone. It's an email from an unknown sender. Her heart races as she opens it. The message is short and to the point. Thank you for your kind words. I appreciate your apology, but there's no need to feel guilty. We all have our moments. If you'd like to talk, I'm free this afternoon. The woman's eyes fill with tears as she reads the message. She can't believe he's willing to meet with her after everything. She quickly replies, agreeing to meet him at a cafe near her hotel. As she gets ready for the meeting, she feels a mix of nervousness and excitement. She doesn't know what to expect, but she's determined to make things right. This is her chance to show the soldier that she's learned from her mistake and that she truly respects and admires him. When she arrives at the cafe, she spots him immediately. He's sitting at a corner table, dressed casually but neatly. He looks up as she approaches and gives her a warm smile. "Thank you for coming," he says as she sits down. "Thank you for giving me the chance to apologize properly," she replies. "I had no idea who you were or what you've done. I was selfish, and I'm truly sorry." The soldier shakes his head. "You don't need to keep apologizing. What's done is done. What matters is what you do next. The woman nods, feeling a sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she can turn this into something positive. As they begin to talk, she realizes that this meeting is just the beginning of a journey, one that will change her life in ways she never expected. The cafe is cozy, with the soft hum of conversation and the aroma of freshly brewed coffee filling the air. The woman sits across from the soldier, her hands wrapped around her cup, trying to steady her nerves. She's not sure where to begin, but the soldier's calm presence puts her at ease. "I read about what you did," she says finally, her voice soft but sincere. "I had no idea. I feel terrible for how I acted on the plane. You didn't deserve that." The soldier leans back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "You don't need to keep apologizing," he says. "We all make mistakes. What's important is that you're trying to make it right. That says a lot about you." The woman feels a lump in her throat. She hadn't expected him to be so forgiving. I want you to know that I respect what you've done. I can't imagine what it must have been like, being in those situations. You're a hero." The soldier chuckles softly, shaking his head. "I'm no hero. I just did what I had to do. Anyone in my position would have done the same." The woman disagrees but doesn't push the point. Instead, she takes a sip of her coffee and asks, "Can you tell me about it?" "Only if you're comfortable, of course. I'd like to understand." The soldier hesitates for a moment, then nods. "All right," he says. "But it's not a pretty story." He begins to recount the mission that made him famous, or at least, famous in military circles. He tells her about the village that came under attack, the chaos and fear that gripped the civilians, and the difficult decisions he had to make. He speaks calmly, but there's a weight to his words that makes the woman realize just how much he's been through. "We were outnumbered and outgunned," he says. "But we couldn't just leave them there. So we did what we could. Got as many people out as possible. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough." The woman listens intently, her heart aching as she imagines the scenes he describes. She can't fathom the courage it must have taken to face such danger, to put his life on the line for strangers. And yet, he talks about it as if it were just another day at work. "You're amazing," she says when he finishes. "I don't know how you do it. I don't think I could." The soldier shrugs. "You'd be surprised what you can do when you have to. It's not about being brave. It's about doing what's right." The woman nods, absorbing his words. She realizes that this is what sets him apart, not just his actions, but his mindset. He doesn't see himself as special or extraordinary. He just does what needs to be done, without expecting recognition or reward. As the conversation continues, the woman finds herself opening up as well. She tells him about her life, her career, and the pressures she faces. She talks about how she's always been driven to succeed, to prove herself, but how sometimes it feels like she's lost sight of what really matters. "I think I've been so focused on myself that I've forgotten to think about others," she admits. "Meeting you, it's made me realize how small my problems are compared to what you and others like you have been through." The soldier smiles gently. "Don't downplay your struggles," he says. "Everyone has their battles. Just because mine are different doesn't mean yours don't matter." His words strike a chord with her. She's spent so much time feeling guilty and inadequate, but he's reminding her that it's okay to be human. It's okay to make mistakes, as long as you learn from them. By the time they finish their coffee, the woman feels a sense of clarity she hasn't felt in a long time. She knows she can't change the past, but she's determined to change the way she approaches the future. "Thank you," she says as they stand to leave. "For talking to me. For being so kind. I don't know if I deserve it, but I'm grateful." The soldier shakes her hand, his grip firm but warm. "You're welcome," he says. "And remember, it's not about what you've done wrong. It's about what you do next. As they part ways, the woman feels a renewed sense of purpose. She knows this encounter has changed her, and she's determined to carry that change forward. But little does she know, this is only the beginning of a journey that will challenge her in ways she never imagined. After her conversation with the soldier, the woman feels a shift within herself. The guilt that had been weighing her down begins to lift, replaced by a sense of determination. She realizes that her encounter with him was more than just a chance meeting, it was a wake-up call. She's spent so much of her life focused on her own ambitions, her own comfort, that she's forgotten the importance of kindness and selflessness. Now, she's determined to make a change. Over the next few days, she throws herself into her work with a new perspective. She's still focused on her career, but she starts to pay more attention to the people around her. She takes the time to listen to her colleagues, to offer help when it's needed, and to show appreciation for their efforts. It's a small shift, but it makes a big difference. She notices that her relationships improve, and the atmosphere in the office becomes more positive. But her newfound perspective doesn't stop at work. She starts to think about how she can make a bigger impact, how she can give back in a meaningful way. She remembers the soldier's words, "It's not about what you've done wrong. It's about what you do next." Those words echo in her mind, pushing her to take action. One evening, as she's scrolling through her phone, she comes across an article about a local charity that supports veterans and their families. The organization provides everything from financial assistance to counseling services, helping those who have served to rebuild their lives after returning home. The woman feels a spark of inspiration. This is it, this is how she can make a difference. She spends the next few days researching the charity, learning about their programs and the people they help. She's moved by the stories she reads, stories of soldiers who have sacrificed so much for their country, only to struggle when they come home. She realizes that while she can't change what happened on the plane, she can use her resources and skills to support those who have given so much. With a clear goal in mind, she reaches out to the charity and offers to volunteer. She's not sure what to expect, but she's eager to get involved. To her surprise, they welcome her with open arms. They're always in need of volunteers, and her background in business makes her a valuable asset. Her first day at the charity is both humbling and inspiring. She meets veterans from all walks of life, each with their own story to tell. Some are struggling with physical injuries, while others are dealing with the invisible wounds of war. But despite their challenges, they're all working hard to rebuild their lives and support their families. The woman is assigned to help with fundraising efforts, using her skills to organize events and reach out to potential donors. It's a big task, but she's determined to make it a success. She spends long hours planning, making calls, and sending emails, pouring her energy into the cause. It's exhausting, but it's also incredibly rewarding. For the first time in a long time, she feels like she's doing something that truly matters. As she becomes more involved with the charity, she starts to form connections with the people she's helping. She listens to their stories, shares in their struggles, and celebrates their victories. She's struck by their resilience and their gratitude, and it inspires her to work even harder. One day, as she's preparing for a fundraising event, she receives a call from the soldier. She's surprised to hear from him, but also thrilled. They haven't spoken since their meeting at the cafe, and she's been wondering how he's doing. "I heard about what you're doing with the charity," he says. "I just wanted to say thank you. It means a lot." The woman feels a surge of pride, but also humility. "I should be thanking you," she replies. "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have realized how much I needed to change. You've inspired me to do better." The soldier chuckles softly. "I'm glad to hear that. But remember, this isn't about me. It's about them, the people you're helping. They're the ones who deserve the credit." His words remind her of why she's doing this. It's not about earning his approval or easing her guilt. It's about making a real difference in the lives of those who have sacrificed so much. As the weeks go by, the woman's involvement with the charity deepens. She starts to take on more responsibilities, using her skills to make a bigger impact. She organizes a successful fundraising event that brings in much-needed funds, and she helps to launch a new program that provides job training for veterans. It's hard work, but it's also incredibly fulfilling. Through it all, she stays in touch with the soldier. They meet for coffee occasionally, and he becomes a source of guidance and encouragement. He's proud of what she's accomplished, but he also challenges her to keep pushing herself, to keep looking for ways to make a difference. One day, as they're sitting in the same cafe where they first met, the soldier asks her a question that catches her off guard. "Why are you doing all this?" he asks. "I mean, I know you want to help, but what's driving you?" The woman thinks for a moment before answering. I just realized that I've been living my life all wrong. I was so focused on myself, on my career, that I forgot about the bigger picture. Meeting you, it opened my eyes. I saw how much good one person can do, and I wanted to be a part of that." The soldier nods, his expression thoughtful. "That's a good reason," he says. "But don't forget to take care of yourself, too. You can't help others if you're running on empty." His words resonate with her. She's been so focused on giving back that she's neglected her own needs. She realizes that balance is key, that she needs to take care of herself if she wants to continue making a difference. As they part ways that day, the woman feels a sense of peace. She knows she's on the right path, but she also knows there's still work to be done. She's determined to keep growing, to keep learning, and to keep making a positive impact. But little does she know, her journey is about to take an unexpected turn, one that will challenge her in ways she never imagined. The woman's work with the charity becomes a central part of her life. She balances her corporate job with her volunteer efforts, often working late into the night to ensure everything runs smoothly. Her colleagues notice the change in her. She's more focused, more driven, but also more compassionate. She's no longer just climbing the corporate ladder, she's using her skills to make a real difference. One evening, as she's preparing for a major fundraising gala, she receives a call from the charity's director. The tone of his voice immediately puts her on edge. "We've hit a snag," he says. "One of our biggest donors has pulled out. They've decided to fund a different cause, and we're left with a significant shortfall. If we don't find a way to make up the difference, we might have to cancel some of our programs." The woman feels a knot form in her stomach. The gala is just a week away, and they've been counting on that donation to meet their goals. Losing it could mean cutting back on essential services, leaving veterans and their families without the support they need. "What can I do?" she asks, her mind already racing with possibilities. "We need to find new donors, and fast," the director replies. "I know it's a lot to ask, but you've been incredible at networking and organizing. Do you think you can help?" The woman doesn't hesitate. "I'll do whatever it takes," she says. Over the next few days, she throws herself into the task with everything she's got. She reaches out to contacts, sends emails, makes calls, and even arranges last-minute meetings. It's a whirlwind of activity, and she barely has time to sleep, but she's determined to make it work. One of her meetings is with a wealthy businessman who's known for his philanthropy. She's heard that he's selective about the causes he supports, but she's prepared to make her case. She spends hours researching his interests and tailoring her pitch to align with his values. When the day of the meeting arrives, she's nervous but confident. She knows how much is riding on this, and she's not about to let the charity down. The meeting goes well, the businessman is impressed by her passion and the impact the charity has had. He agrees to consider their request and promises to get back to her soon. As she leaves the meeting, she feels a glimmer of hope. But there's no time to rest. She still has the gala to prepare for, and every detail needs to be perfect. The night of the gala arrives, and the venue is transformed into an elegant space, filled with soft lighting, beautiful decorations, and the hum of excited conversation. The woman is everywhere at once, greeting guests, coordinating with the staff, and making sure everything runs smoothly. She's exhausted, but the energy in the room keeps her going. Halfway through the evening, she spots the soldier across the room. He's dressed in a suit, looking more formal than she's ever seen him. He catches her eye and gives her a nod, a small smile playing on his lips. She feels a surge of pride, knowing that he's here to support the cause. As the program begins, the woman takes the stage to give a speech. She talks about the charity's mission, the impact they've had, and the challenges they're facing. She shares stories of the veterans they've helped, painting a vivid picture of the difference their work makes. Her voice is steady and passionate, and the audience is captivated. When she finishes, the room erupts into applause. She steps down from the stage, her heart pounding, and is immediately surrounded by people offering congratulations and asking how they can help. It's overwhelming, but in the best possible way. As the evening winds down, the woman finally has a moment to breathe. She finds a quiet corner and takes a seat, letting the events of the night sink in. She's just starting to relax when the soldier approaches. "You did an amazing job," he says, sitting down beside her. "I'm proud of you." The woman feels a warmth spread through her chest. "Thank you," she says. "But it's not over yet. We still need to make up that shortfall." The soldier nods. "I know. But you've already done so much. Don't forget to give yourself credit for that." His words are a reminder to take a step back and appreciate how far she's come. She's worked tirelessly, pushed herself to her limits, and made a real impact. But there's still more to do. The next morning, she wakes up to an email from the businessman she met earlier in the week. Her heart races as she opens it, hoping for good news. She's not disappointed. He's agreed to make a substantial donation, more than enough to cover the shortfall. The woman feels a wave of relief and joy. She immediately calls the charity's director to share the news. He's ecstatic, and they quickly make plans to announce the donation and ensure the programs can continue. As she hangs up the phone, the woman feels a sense of accomplishment unlike anything she's ever experienced. She's made a real difference, not just for the charity, but for the people they serve. It's a powerful feeling, and it fuels her determination to keep going. But as she reflects on everything she's done, she realizes that this is just the beginning. There's still so much more to be done, so many more lives to touch. She knows she can't do it all on her own, but she's ready to take on the challenge. The soldier's words echo in her mind. It's not about what you've done wrong. It's about what you do next. She's taken those words to heart, and they've guided her every step of the way. Now, she's ready to take the next step, whatever it may be. But as she looks ahead, she can't shake the feeling that her journey is far from over. There are still challenges to face, lessons to learn, and opportunities to grow. And she's ready to embrace them all. With the successful gala and the businessman's generous donation, the charity is back on solid ground. The woman feels a deep sense of accomplishment, but she knows her work is far from over. The experience has ignited something within her, a passion for helping others that she never knew she had. She begins to think about how she can take her efforts to the next level, how she can make an even bigger impact. One afternoon, as she's reviewing the charity's programs, an idea strikes her. The job training initiative she helped launch has been successful, but it's limited in scope. What if they could expand it? What if they could create a larger, more comprehensive program that not only trains veterans but also connects them with employers who are eager to hire them? Excited by the possibility, she pitches the idea to the charity's director. He's intrigued but cautious. "It's a great idea," he says. "But it's also a big undertaking. We'd need more funding, more resources, and more partnerships. Are you prepared to take that on?" The woman doesn't hesitate. Absolutely, she says. I know it's a lot, but I believe in this. I've seen how much of a difference we can make, and I want to do more. The director agrees to move forward, and the woman throws herself into the project. She spends weeks researching, planning, and reaching out to potential partners. It's a daunting task, but she's driven by the knowledge that this could change lives. As she works on the expansion, she stays in close contact with the soldier. He becomes a sounding board for her ideas, offering advice and encouragement. His perspective is invaluable, and she's grateful for his support. One evening, as they're discussing the program over coffee, the soldier asks her a question that catches her off guard. Have you ever thought about doing this full-time? He asks. I mean, you're clearly passionate about it, and you're making a huge impact. What if you made this your career? The woman is taken aback. She's never considered leaving her corporate job. It's been a big part of her identity for so long, and the thought of walking away is both exciting and terrifying. I don't know, she admits. It's a big decision. I've worked so hard to get where I am, and I'm not sure I'm ready to give that up. The soldier nods, understanding. It's not an easy choice, he says. But sometimes, the things that scare us the most are the things that are most worth doing. Just think about it. His words stay with her long after their conversation ends. She spends the next few days wrestling with the idea, weighing the pros and cons. On one hand, her corporate job offers stability, prestige, and a comfortable lifestyle. On the other hand, her work with the charity is fulfilling in a way that her job has never been. It's a difficult decision, but she knows she can't ignore the pull she feels toward the charity. As she's grappling with the choice, she receives an unexpected offer. The charity's director calls her into his office and presents her with a proposal. We've been incredibly impressed with your work, he says. You've brought so much energy and vision to this organization, and we'd love for you to join us full-time. We're creating a new position, Director of Programs and Development, and we'd like you to take it on. The woman is stunned. It's the opportunity she's been dreaming of, but it's also a huge leap of faith. She takes a deep breath and asks for some time to think it over. That evening, she meets the soldier for dinner. She tells him about the offer and shares her fears and doubts. He listens patiently, then offers his perspective. It's a big decision, he says. But sometimes, you have to trust your instincts. You found something you're passionate about, something that makes you feel alive. That's not something to take lightly. His words resonate with her. She realizes that she's been holding on to her corporate job out of fear of failure, fear of the unknown. But she also knows that she can't let fear dictate her life. The next morning, she makes her decision. She calls the charity's director and accepts the position. It's a leap of faith, but it feels right. As she prepares to transition into her new role, she reflects on how far she's come. She started this journey feeling guilty and selfish, but she's emerged with a new sense of purpose and direction. She's learned the importance of kindness, selflessness, and giving back, and she's determined to carry those values forward. But as she looks ahead, she knows there will be challenges. The new position will come with its own set of responsibilities and pressures, and she'll need to continue growing and adapting. She's ready to face those challenges, but she also knows she can't do it alone. The soldier has become an important part of her life, not just as a mentor but as a friend. She's grateful for his guidance and support, and she knows she'll continue to rely on him as she navigates this new chapter. As she takes her first steps into her new role, she feels a sense of excitement and anticipation. She's ready to make a difference, to continue learning, and to embrace the journey ahead. But little does she know, this is just the beginning of a new adventure, one that will test her in ways she never imagined and push her to become the best version of herself. The woman's transition into her new role as Director of Programs and Development at the charity is both exhilarating and overwhelming. Her first few weeks are a whirlwind of meetings, planning sessions, and strategy discussions. She's no longer just a volunteer, she's now responsible for shaping the future of the organization. The weight of that responsibility is immense, but she's determined to rise to the challenge. One of her first tasks is to finalize the expansion of the job training program for veterans. She works closely with her team to develop a comprehensive curriculum that includes not only technical skills but also soft skills like communication, teamwork, and leadership. She reaches out to local businesses and corporations, building partnerships that will provide job opportunities for program graduates. It's a massive undertaking, but she's fueled by the knowledge that this program could change lives. As she immerses herself in her new role, she finds herself leaning on the soldier more than ever. He becomes her unofficial advisor, offering insights and perspectives that only someone with his experience could provide. They meet regularly, sometimes over coffee, sometimes during walks in the park. Their conversations are a mix of work and personal reflection, and she values his wisdom and friendship more than she can express. One evening, after a particularly long day, the woman meets the soldier at their usual cafe. She's exhausted but energized, her mind buzzing with ideas and plans. As they sit down, she can't help but laugh. "I don't know how you do it," she says. "How do you stay so calm and focused, even when everything feels like it's falling apart?" The soldier smiles. "It's all about perspective," he says. "When you've been through what I have, you learn to take things one step at a time. You can't control everything, but you can control how you respond." His words resonate with her. She's been so focused on trying to do everything perfectly that she's forgotten to take a step back and breathe. She realizes that she needs to find a balance, between her ambition and her well-being, between her work and her personal life. Over the next few weeks, she makes a conscious effort to slow down and prioritize self-care. She starts taking breaks during the day, going for walks, and spending time with friends. She even takes up yoga, something she never thought she'd have time for. The change is subtle, but it makes a big difference. She feels more grounded, more present, and more capable of handling the challenges that come her way. As the job training program nears its launch date, the woman feels a mix of excitement and nerves. This is her first major project as director, and she wants it to be a success. She's poured her heart and soul into it, and she's determined to make it impactful. The launch event is a big success. Veterans, employers, and community members come together to celebrate the program and its potential. The woman gives a heartfelt speech, sharing her vision for the program and thanking everyone who made it possible. As she looks out at the crowd, she feels a deep sense of pride and gratitude. This is what she's been working for, this moment, this impact. After the event, the soldier approaches her with a smile. "You did it," he says. "I'm proud of you." The woman feels a lump in her throat. "I couldn't have done it without you," she says. "Your support has meant everything to me." The soldier shakes his head. "You did the hard work. I just gave you a little push." Their friendship has become a cornerstone of her life, and she's grateful for his presence. But as she reflects on their relationship, she realizes that it's evolved into something deeper. She's not sure how to articulate it, but she knows that he's become more than just a mentor or a friend. He's become someone she can't imagine her life without. As the weeks go by, the woman continues to pour herself into her work. The job training program is a success, with many veterans finding meaningful employment through the initiative. She's proud of what they've accomplished, but she also knows there's still so much more to do. One day, as she's reviewing the charity's long-term goals, she has an idea. What if they could expand their reach beyond the local community? What if they could create a network of programs and partnerships that could help veterans across the country? Excited by the possibility, she pitches the idea to the charity's board. They're intrigued but cautious, pointing out the challenges and risks involved. But the woman is undeterred. She's learned to embrace challenges, to see them as opportunities for growth rather than obstacles. As she begins to develop a plan for the expansion, she realizes that this is her next big challenge. It's a daunting task, but she's ready to take it on. She knows it won't be easy, but she also knows that it's worth it. But as she looks ahead, she can't help but think about the soldier. He's been such an important part of her journey, and she wonders what role he'll play in this next chapter. She's not sure what the future holds, but she knows that whatever comes next, she's ready to face it, with courage, determination, and an open heart. The woman's vision for expanding the charity's reach becomes her driving force. She spends months developing a comprehensive plan, researching best practices, and building a network of partners across the country. It's a massive undertaking, but she's fueled by the belief that this could change countless lives. The soldier continues to be her sounding board, offering advice and encouragement as she navigates the complexities of the project. One evening, as they're walking through the park, the woman shares her progress with him. "It's going to be a lot of work," she says. "But I really believe we can make this happen. We can help so many people." The soldier nods, his expression thoughtful. "You've come a long way," he says. "I remember when you first started at the charity. You were so unsure of yourself. But now, you're unstoppable." The woman smiles, feeling a surge of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you," she says. "You've been my rock through all of this." The soldier stops walking and turns to face her. "You've always had it in you," he says. "I just helped you see it." Their eyes meet, and for a moment, the world seems to stand still. The woman feels a rush of emotions, gratitude, admiration, and something deeper that she's been hesitant to acknowledge. She takes a deep breath, gathering her courage. "There's something I need to tell you," she says. "I don't know how to say this, but you mean so much to me. More than I can put into words. I don't know where I'd be without you, and I don't want to imagine my life without you in it." The soldier looks at her, his expression softening. "I feel the same way," he says. "You've changed my life, too. I didn't think I'd ever find someone who understood me the way you do." The woman feels her heart swell with emotion. For the first time, she allows herself to fully acknowledge the depth of her feelings for him. It's a moment of vulnerability, but also of connection, a recognition of the bond they've built over time. As they continue their walk, the conversation shifts to the future. They talk about their dreams, their fears, and the possibilities that lie ahead. It's a conversation filled with hope and excitement, but also with a sense of grounding. They both know that whatever comes next, they'll face it together. The woman's expansion plan for the charity gains momentum. She secures funding, builds partnerships, and begins to roll out programs in different regions. It's a challenging process, but she's determined to see it through. The soldier is by her side every step of the way, offering support and encouragement. One day, as they're preparing for a major event to launch the expanded programs, the woman feels a mix of nerves and excitement. This is the culmination of months of hard work, and she wants everything to be perfect. As she's going over the final details, the soldier walks into the room. "You've got this," he says, his voice steady and reassuring. "You've worked so hard for this moment. Just remember why you're doing it." His words calm her nerves and remind her of the bigger picture. She's not just doing this for herself, she's doing it for the veterans and their families who will benefit from these programs. That thought gives her the strength to push forward. The event is a resounding success. Veterans, employers, and community leaders come together to celebrate the launch of the expanded programs. The woman gives a powerful speech, sharing her vision for the future and thanking everyone who made it possible. As she looks out at the crowd, she feels a deep sense of fulfillment. This is what she's been working for, this moment, this impact. After the event, the soldier approaches her with a smile. "You did it," he says. "I'm so proud of you." The woman feels a lump in her throat. "We did it," she says. I couldn't have done it without you." Their journey has been one of growth, transformation, and connection. They've both faced challenges and overcome obstacles, but they've done it together. As they stand there, surrounded by the buzz of the event, they know that this is just the beginning. The woman's work with the charity continues to grow, touching more lives and making a bigger impact. She's found her purpose, and she's determined to keep pushing forward. But she also knows that she can't do it alone. The soldier has become an integral part of her life, and she's grateful for his presence every day. As they look ahead, they know there will be more challenges and more opportunities for growth. But they're ready to face them, together. Their journey has taught them the importance of kindness, resilience, and connection, and they're determined to carry those values forward. The woman's story is one of transformation, from a self-focused professional to a compassionate leader. It's a reminder that we all have the power to change, to grow, and to make a difference. And sometimes, all it takes is a little push from someone who believes in us.